People pay good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth.
Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of The Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. On this episode, I am talking with Martyn Zub. He is the re-recording mixer of the new film, The Wait, which had its premiere at Sundance 2026, stars Ethan Hawke and Russell Crowe. Very compelling narrative about the Great Depression. I have a feeling it will be opening wide pretty soon. Hopefully people will be able to check this out over the next few months. Had a lot of fun watching it, and I had a lot of fun talking with Mr. Zub. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the interview. I don't want to sound too much like a noob, but I am so curious, what is it that you do? Can you describe a little bit of what your role is?
I'm a sound supervisor, sound designer, re-recording mixer. Depending on who and what studio, what client I work with, and it depends on my role. So I wear different type of hats. And then I found, doing that, coming from Australia, you had to do everything there really to maintain and continually work on a film. Whereas it's very segmented and fractionalized here. I jump around and depending on this, the chair and then I'm sitting in. And at the moment, I'm working as a sound designer on the next Godzilla film, and I'm mixing that eventually as well. I'm doing a bit at the moment, and then I kind of move around as well.
Now I have to ask, is it Godzilla -0 or is it another Godzilla film?
Another Godzilla versus Kong, that universe, the legendary Warner Brothers.
All right, awesome. How did you decide to get into this field?
Growing up in Australia, being like we did, played in bands and punk bands in Southern Australia. And then my parents were making, TV commercials for their small business they had, kind of small, low budget. And then I can remember going out there, seeing it and kind of nerding out a little bit at the microphones they were using. And then I started talking to more people and realized, there's an actual profession here as well. This is amazing. So I just went down the path, and then I started studying sound. And then the natural progression from being in a band to mixing bands front of house, then into recording studios, recording as a drumming engineer, then into TV commercials, into post-production there. And it was just a natural progression, really. And then I've been living in the US now for nearly 13 years.
What kind of tools do you use in your profession?
Predominantly, the biggest one we use is Pro Tools, which is our industry standard, like digital audio software workstation. But that's predominantly the biggest one at the moment. Then I use SoundMiner, which is like a library database software that we use that, collects all our sounds, and we kind of label it and put it all in folders and categories. So we kind of can dig from that pretty quickly. And then we go out and record a lot of stuff as well, depending on the project and depending on the scale and in the needs and the turnaround and the schedule and the budget as well.
I was wondering if you got everything delivered or if you're out there like, John Travolta and Blowout with the long microphone capturing those sounds.
Well, I'm not doing on location on set as such, like recording the dialogue. It would be more so, perfect example, I worked on John Wick 3, it was, and there's a big motorcycle chase in that, and we hired a racetrack for the day and brought all the motorbikes out there and recorded them in all various different ways, and then ended up getting that material, working with one of our librarians, sound designers who cut it and mastered it and then gave it to us editors and sound designers to manipulate against the picture. So it all varies all the time.
Can you watch a movie like a normal person, or are you constantly hearing that and going, oh, that's this particular clip, I've used that before?
100% I do that. Like the best tracks is when, and I'm sure that you're in a similar world, like, you're immersed in it and then you're not distracted by the world really, which I think is great for filmmaking. And there's definitely films that we see and watch and I go, I know exactly where that sounds from. I could dig it up off a CD right now. But there's ones that you go, oh, that's a really cool choice. I don't know how they created that or captured that. That's really cool, and I tip my hat to that type of like sound editing and mixing work.
How do you get your jobs? Do they now know you? Do you have a reputation? They go, I want Martyn Zub on this project.
Definitely. Like when I first moved here, I didn't know anyone. I knew only a handful of people. I came about to the US. I worked with an Australian filmmaker that mixed a film in New York, and I went and mixed it for 2 weeks over there. Then met some people, and then at the time, my girlfriend and I said, let's give this a go. Packed up one suitcase and then haven't looked back since then. But then when I first got here, I was pounding the pavement, trying to meet as many people as possible, many like peers, people that I looked up to, producers, post supervisors, and obviously a lot of doors slammed in front of your face. But slowly over time, I built up a bit of a client list and a network of people that I kind of hang out with socially and work with professionally. And then when the strikes hit, it felt like a big reset. And then I felt like I was pounding the pavement again, just trying to muster up work to, keep it going, because it was pretty, I still feel that Hollywood is obviously feeling the repercussions of that as well. But yeah, client network and friends and colleagues has been the big thing. And then trying to meet new people all the time. And with the crew that I'm working with right now on Godzilla, never worked with any of these people before, but they're awesome. They're so collaborative as well, and hoping we can continue like a working professional relationship as well.
Yeah, because I noticed like Dan Gilroy seems to use you quite a bit. Zach Schneider uses you quite a bit. So it's just like you build up that reputation with these folks.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and also other people in your world as well. They have that contact and they're gonna drag me in, or I have that contact and I'll drag them in. So we have a bit of a close community that we work with all the time.
I know if you hire like a production designer, it's like, okay, well, I've got the main production designer, then I've got their whole team that they assemble. Are you part of a team overall?
Yeah, definitely. I'm with a company called Formosa Group, and I've been with them since the inception of the group. And it's always been talent focused, driven company. And then I felt like a lot of people from Bob Rosenthal, who pulled it all together, the CEO, he kind of handpicked a lot of people and they thought they'd get along with everyone. So that was a massive leg up for me to be invited to join this, group of talented people. And then I met a lot of people through that. And then outside of that as well. And then we kind of bring it back into our fold because, we have crew and assistants and editors that we work with that, we know each other's shorthands, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses and how to get a job done, as creatively as possible, but also the reality of it is on budget and within a schedule as well.
Tell me about The Wait. I know that just played at Sundance. How did you get that one?
Padraic McKinley, the director, and this is his first feature I've worked with in the past. He was a film editor previously, and I've done, I think, 3 or 4 films with him and 2 TV series with him as well. And since then, since the very first film we met each other on, we became close friends, and we live in the same neighborhood that it turns out. So we see each other, at Thanksgiving pretty regularly. So we always keep in contact as much as possible because, it's such a great collaborative, like creative, like environment as well. I was there when they met the writer at the Toronto Film Festival like 8 years ago of the Wait, and the story was so different then when we read the script. And then Fields Entertainment are producing partners who are close friends as well. They optioned the script and then they rewrote it with Ethan Hawke's team. And then Pat was always like tagged to actually direct it because he worked with Ethan on The Good Lord Bird and he worked with Russell on The Loudest Voice. So he had those connections and he wanted to, call on those favors eventually. So then I was always going to do it no matter which way that it was looking. And it was, the budget was incredibly tight and it was an absolute challenge to get greenlit and chasing, the tax incentives all over the world. And, it was shot, it's located in Oregon, but they shot it in Munich, Germany for Oregon. And it'd be hard to tell the difference really with the coverage and the B unit and all the overheads. It looks like Oregon to me. It was great. So I was always going to do it no matter which way. The budget was pretty challenging. I came on board, thinking that I was going to sound design it as well, but I couldn't give up the amount of the weeks that it actually needed. So I just came in at the end to mix it for a month in Berlin with a sound crew that I've never met before. We had shorthand and, we reviewed material as we were going along and mixed it on a mixing stage I've never been on, which is always a little bit daunting. Never been to Berlin, which I absolutely thoroughly loved. But everyone was incredibly, generous with their time and their ability to get it done, because everyone worked above and beyond to create the best sounding track possible. But yeah, it was great. And it was a great collaboration. I had, fortunate enough, because I have that shorthand with Pat, our director, he sat right next to me on the console every day, and we were limited with time, so we could make decisions, creative decisions right there and then and move on, as opposed to mulling over it, doing notes and playbacks. And then, we managed to get through the film in a pretty timely manner to watch the whole thing back, take another big round of notes and talk about ideas and when to let the track breathe and when to push it, and then played it all again, did more mixing. So we managed to play it like 3 times, which is pretty good on a final mix. That was a pretty tight final mix.
In my mind, I just watched an episode of Columbo where they're doing a sound mix. So 1976 or whatever this is. Big old board, image up on the screen, and they've just got the pots and they're just moving stuff around. Oh, bring up the gun, bring up the this. I'm sure it's completely different in 2026.
We're kind of pretty much the same in theory. Like, we've got a full-size cinema with the board there. More computers now than what they had back then. It was all, analog. But yeah, it's great. You can do so much more, and you can do, I'm sure back then when they did Columbia, there was a relatively large crew, like not only on the mix stage, but out the back, putting all the machines together and loading the tapes and all the optical material. But now it's really minimal. On the stage, we had one mix tech, effects editor, a dialogue editor, and myself as part of the sound team, which is a film at this scale and how many locations there are and the action and the drama. It's a really small, tight team. So we had to be efficient as possible. And that's, the advantage of technology, which kind of helps us, but it also hinders us as well, because producers know that we can do it quicker and cheaper as well.
Are there any issues that come up or challenges that come up when you're doing like a period piece versus a modern piece?
There's a car at the opening scene of our film, and that was a lot of back and forth in how that should sound. Like, it's a Ford Model A, and then we, cut it to be a Ford Model A, but then sometimes they're not that interesting when you push it pretty hard. So we kind of had to sneak in some other sounds in there to kind of beef it up and make it a bit more exciting as well. So that's probably a huge challenge, is like the vehicles, absolutely. But other ones, not too much. Like, we had like a Foley crew that we've worked with in the past. They got the brief, they knew like the area, and then just selecting the ambiences as well. And then the guns, always, it's always fun to make them big, bold, and exciting to sound like cannons. But you've got to be realistic to the piece as well, and find and dance that line of, let's make it cool and fun for the audience, but let's also, tip our hat to the period as well. So it's finding that fine line in a lot of the places as well.
So now, with modern films, are you typically mixing it so that I can't hear the dialogue and so that the music and sound effects are way too overwhelming, so I'm constantly like jacking the volume up and down? Like, are you doing that on purpose these days?
No. Well, I hear a lot of mixes on, TV and on the streaming platforms, and I kind of shake my head. Why he can't understand the dialogue, and I think a lot of the time that's just bad mixing, the best programs, the best shows, the best films, you can understand every single word because there's a quality track being mixed. So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that, why, it has been a bit of a hot topic in our community at the moment, but yeah, I'd say there's no reason for it really.
You said that the project was very different the first time you read the script. I'm always curious about how stuff changes over time. What was that original version like?
It was longer, and the beats, like, it read really well as a story, but then to put it into like a cinematic script form, you had to get the first, second, third act. It needed a bit of work through there as well. And I know Ethan and Shelby, they had an idea of what they wanted it to be and how they wanted the characters to be portrayed, I should say. And then Pat did as well. And it's definitely got his creative input all over it as well. Like, so yeah, it definitely, everybody who touches it, who's involved creatively, definitely adds something to it as well.
So you sit there with the director and your crew, and you're watching through this, and you're doing this mix, and you're getting it all ready. Do you ever take that opportunity to watch it with an audience then?
well, the first time we watched it with an audience, any of us was at Sundance, like, because there's no resources or budget to do like a preview or a friends and family. Like, it was like we were up against it, so that was always exciting. Like, I know Pat was nervous and obviously and excited at the time, but I'm like, man, we've done all we can now. Let's put it out into the world, like, and it played amazingly. Like, I was really impressed with it. And then my fiance was with me, and she was fortunate enough. She saw the very first cut of the film, and she's like, whoa, okay, there's a lot of work to be done. And then at that final product, she was blown away. Like, it just felt like a different film.
Do you do different mixes for different venues? Is there going to be a mix for the Blu-ray release versus what you saw theatrically?
Yeah, definitely. So that's part of the deliveries on the Wait, for example. They only wanted a streaming version, which a 5.1 streaming version, which I was like, okay, that's great. And I understand why they're saying that, because that's going to be the main market they wanted to sell it to. But then I'm like, the mix stage we're going to is arguably one of the premier stages in Europe. It's like in full theatrical atmos, so it's got speakers everywhere type of thing. So I said we should be mixing in that format and doing our down mixing as we go, like, running it parallel. So we can kind of, it's not the most ideal way, but with the resources that we had, you can kind of set up like a signal processing chain to do the fold downs. And we kind of did that. So we're doing our theatrical Atmos mix, we're doing our theatrical 5.1 mix, but at the same time, we were doing the versions of our, streaming platform versions as well, which is the home Atmos version, and at the same time. So there is different formats. And then when I mix TV broadcasts, it's different again, because you got to hit different, levels and loudness meters as well. And different studios and different streamers all have different formats and programming as well.
You mentioned the guns and the car, and I'm sure you get a lot of people that give you negative feedback when it comes to that car doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, definitely. My car enthusiast friends, even the picture are on the Wait as well. He's a real car guy, and he kind of noticed some of the gear shifts. It's got that's an added shift in there, and going, but it adds excitement. But yeah, there is definitely a bit of that for sure.
Well, Mr. Zub, thank you so much for your time. This was great talking with you.
Oh, you're welcome, Mike. And I was just looking up your podcast. So I got to go back and see that last episode that you listened to, because I know the mixer that mixes Pandemonium. Yeah, I've got to go and check it out. It looks really cool.
I pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half past dead. I just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my hand. No was all he said. Take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off, Fanny. And you put the load right on me. I picked up my bag. I went looking for a place to hide. When I saw Carmen and the devil walking side by side, I said, hey, Carmen, come on, let's go downtown. She said, I gotta go, but my friend can stick around. Take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off, Fanny. And you put the load right on me. Go down, Miss Moses, there's nothing you can say. It's just old Luke, and Luke's waiting on the judgment day. Well, Luke, my friend, what about young Anna Lee? He said, do me a favor, son, won't you stay and keep Anna Lee company? Take a load off, Fanny. Take a load for free. put the load right on me. Get your cannonball now to take me down the line. My bag is sinking low, and I do believe it's time to get